He was an ambitious young Englishman, talking about Les Farmer Sr., my grandfather. And he had invited his little brother to come over and get out of a hospital where he'd been gut shot in World War I. He'd been in that hospital for 13 months and weighed 87 pounds. I wish I'd give $100,000 for the little card that my great uncle Sid sent to my grandfather accepting his invitation. He said he weighed 87 pounds and he'd been in that hospital for 13 months, and my grandfather had invited him to come to the United States to join him. He was going to start a business somewhere. And so he said, just live, little brother, and get over here. And my grandfather actually sent him the what he called the passage, which was the money to get on a ship to come over. So my grandfather actually funded his trip. And Galveston was suggested by an old guy that my grandfather had learned to respect in the Queen shipyard where he was working, and he said, young man, you ought to go to Galveston, Texas. That'll be the place. That's all the shipping in the world is coming into Texas, and there's so much agriculture and ranching and new production and that new stuff called oil. They're making oil down there, and he said the future of shipping in Galveston, Texas is enormous. And so he suggested he go to Galveston, and my grandfather, he met Maisie Robertson, which is my grandmother, and he married her, and the three of them came to Galveston, Texas. And he set up a little shop. It was called Farmer's Garage at that point in time for some reason, because he did other things. But bottom line is, he was a coppersmith of considerable renown, and he delivered his first copper pipes to a ship on the back of a streetcar, hanging off the back of a streetcar, going right down this street. He delivered copper pipes. Copper pipes were used very extensively for seawater piping on ships because it was relatively impervious to corrosion and fouling, didn't grow barnacles and things like that. So copper and copper alloys like Monel, which is copper and nickel, were often used, and then ultimately they started with 90-10 copper nickel, which is 90% copper, 10% nickel. Anyway, those kind of things were the genesis of the business, and later on, the petrochemical thing expanded, and we got into all kinds of stuff.